Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Nicolas Comstock Show on this Tuesday. I'm your host, Nicolas Comstock. If this is your first time ever watching one of my shows, first of all, welcome. You can call me Nick. You can call me Big Sexy. You can call me Wild Beard Man. As long as you don't call me late for dinner or late for a movie, even, you can call me whatever you want. Not really. If you start cursing at me, I may run you over with my chair. Um, anyway, if this is your first time here at the Nicolas Comstock Show here on YouTube, please consider subscribing. I am so happy you joined me today. And when you subscribe, make sure you hit the little notification bell so you get notified every time I upload a new video, which is every day. Alright, you guys, today I want to talk to you about something a little bit different. Well, I talk to you about a lot of things, so it's not really different. But today I want to talk to you about depression and specifically depression medication. And I take a happy pill, and I'm happy about it. and because it keeps me from chopping people's heads off and making other people's lives miserable just because I'm miserable. And I take a happy pill, and I'm honestly really happy about it. And it's one of the best decisions that I've ever made to start treating myself for depression. I've struggled with depression since I was 13 years of age, and when I was growing up, I would go to, pastors and leaders, and they'd say, "Oh, Nick, you need to read your Bible more. Oh, Nick, it's just because your wheelchair is your cross to bear, and I feel sorry for you." And they would kind of pat me on the head and give me a hug and say, "I'm praying for you." Or sometimes they would call me out in a sermon and say, "All of our counseling sessions are griping sessions." Yeah, that was fun. But I didn't start taking depression medication until about, I would say, maybe 2016, 17. I had a really good provider, and I'm going to shout her out because she's always saying I don't shout her out. So here's your big shout out, Brandy. Brandy Gregory, one of my former providers in Ohio. First of all, she was phenomenal, and I affectionately call her Mama Brandy. She was like a second mom to me. I have a lot of women that are like second moms to me, so I'm going to have to start saying third mom, fourth mom, blah, blah, blah. And she came to me one day because we constantly talked about my depression and what I was going through, and she shared stuff too. She was like, "Hey, I go through depression too," and but she finally got sick of seeing me suffer, and she said, "Nick, you need to go to your doctor. You need to get some depression medication." She said this, gosh, I don't know how long. She'll probably say it in the comments, and she'll probably talk about how I don't listen to her always, and then she's always right. And usually, I hate to admit it, she usually is. And I was a little worried about going to the doctor and getting medication prescribed because how I grew up, it was you don't take depression medication, and if you take depression medication, how dare you? You're not trusting God, and that's just the stigma that unfortunately is still around today. Well, here's what I don't understand about that, ladies and gentlemen, and I'll get to back to my story in a minute, but here's what I don't understand about Christians' hang up with depression medication. You take medication for a headache. You take medication for a backache, toothache. If you have problems with your inside, you go to a doctor. I believe God has given us medication to medicate our brain as well. And so I don't see anything wrong with it. Although preachers do preach against that. And You know, my pastor is one of those folks where he'll come out and say, get the treatment you need and listen to your doctor, but he's not a real big believer in depression and depression medication, which is fine. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. But so anyway, I was a little nervous about going to the doctor at first and getting depression medication. So what I did was I found a compounding natural pharmacy in my area, and I started getting depression medication there. And let me just go back and say, I'm not a doctor. I'm not recommending you on any medication. I'm just telling you my story. So I started with some natural medication, and honestly, within hours of me taking that, it made me feel better. But I started, then once I started taking it, the medication started to wear off. And then Brandy, who I affectionately call Mama Brandy, came in and said, okay, you were doing really well for several months, but now your medication is starting to wear off, so I think you need to go to your doctor. So I did. I went to my doctor, and I've been on depression medication since that day. And honestly, like I said, it's one of the best decisions that I've ever made. And if you're out there struggling with depression, listen, don't be afraid to get help from anywhere. Go to counselors, go to your church, build a support system, and yes, go to doctors. That's what they're there for. Like I said, we go to the doctor for everything else. We go to the doctor for headaches. We go to the doctor for this, that, the other thing. Go to the doctor if you're really struggling with depression. And say, and talk with your doctor, and he or she can give you some meds that might or might not work, and they can send you to the right people. It is not a bad thing to be on depression medication. I tell you, I took that first prescription, and the first day that I woke up and I didn't feel like snapping anybody's head off, it was wonderful. And I don't wake up like that anymore. Now, not to say that I don't wake up in a bad mood, or that I don't wake up and I still want to punch somebody in the face sometimes. I think that's just life. But to not have the anxiety and the panic attacks and the depression, not saying that you're not going to still have those. I still have those. To be quite frankly, from my recent videos, I still have depression sometimes. What do I do to supplement that? I pray. I listen to my music. I come here on YouTube and I talk to you guys. That's how I cope with my depression. But if you're sitting out there and you're like, I don't even want to get out of bed, this is horrible, life is horrible, I want to end it all, listen. And especially if you're a Christian, listen. It is not bad to be on depression medication. I'm on a happy pill and I'm happy about it. See? So, you know what? And anybody who gets mad at you for being on depression medication, I'm going to use an old saying that my grandmother used to tell my mom all the time. Anybody who's mad at you for making a choice to better yourself, they can scratch their tail and get glad, okay? So, listen, let's get rid of the stigma on depression medication, especially for believers. If you need it, go to your doctor, decide what treatment works best for you, and then if you go for a year or two and you really don't think you need it anymore, then stop the treatment. It's your life. You have to do what's best for you. And like I said, I'm not a doctor. I'm just sharing my story and what I went through. And I'm on a happy pill. Or I take a happy pill and I'm happy about it. And I'm trying to coincide with the title of today's video. And if you need it, take a happy pill and get happy. If you don't need it, good for you. Don't judge others who do. Okay, guys, I hope this video was a help. and maybe even made you laugh a little bit at some of my sarcasm. But I will talk to you tomorrow. Have a good day. Bye bye.